Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Coffee No Sugar No Cream Show. This is 88.1 FM, Highland Park in Detroit. Tonight, I have a special guest in the studio. I have Michael Robinson, but he is also a pastor, so Pastor Michael Robinson. And we're going to be talking about his book, My Father's Blood. So, I want to thank Trisha Duckworth, my wonderful producer, for always finding people who align direct with my purpose in life and what I'm about, and that's helping people, but being transparent with my story. So, thank you, Pastor Robinson, for being here with us today.
Well, thank you to Valerie. I really appreciate you allowing me to come on your show on Black Coffee, no sugar, no cream, just straight up talk show.
Straight up.
So I'm excited, and I also want to give a shout out to Trisha Duckworth for connecting us together.
Oh, yes, Trisha is wonderful. So, I did a little bit of research, just a little bit, because I wanted to keep the dialogue real fresh. I
Okay.
didn't like to rehearse anything, and I'm so glad that you didn't ask me ahead of time, like, what are we gonna talk about,
Right,
or
right.
what are the questions? What are you gonna ask me? Because I like that real, fresh, clean dialogue. I
Mm.
want you to get my honest reaction, and I want to get yours.
Okay. Yeah, great.
So, from what I looked at, you came from the streets first before you became a pastor. So, there was a little bit of stuff that you went through. And from what I talked about earlier with you in the lobby when we were touching on, that street life.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about a little bit about that and then the transition. But the first segment of the show, let's talk about that street life. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you grew up, and the things that you got into.
Well, it's amazing you say that because when I was growing up as a child, my family was staying in a neighborhood that we considered we was in a classification of being in middle class with ease.
Okay.
My dad drove a new Cadillac every other year. My father had after hour joints, and he also worked at Chrysler. And my mom was working downtown at the Wayne County um, tax department. So they making good money on their
Yeah, the middle
jobs, and
class.
my father hustling on the side, right? And my dad was more so like a flat-footed hustler.
Okay.
Flat-footed hustler was hustlers that they never sold drugs, but they had after hours. They knew how to hustle in cars, knew how to,
Shoot
pad
dice
roll.
and
Yeah,
okay.
so
Yeah, I got you.
we as kids, we learned all that kind of stuff at like the age of 10. You know, everybody in our neighborhood, we could pad roll the dice
Really?
and
So y'all wasn't shooting marbles.
and
Y'all
play
can
three
shoot
card
dice.
Molly. You
Okay.
understand? And we could do that with anybody in the neighborhood. I don't care if you 15, 17, I can be 10, but I still could outwit you because my father knew how to mark cards. So we knew what was in your hand, although your hand was in your hand.
I got you.
So we took advantage of that as kids. You know, my father always laughed and joked and said, I want my sons to be hustlers too,
Oh
but
wow.
I want them to hustle doctors and lawyers.
Okay.
But he's still planting a negative seed in our mind,
Because
because
you become a product of your environment. So
exactly.
what you're seeing him do automatically becomes a part of who you are. And I get that. Because I am a lot of my mother and I fight against that. Sometimes
Wow.
I let it surface. When I say that, my mother is a straight shooter.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
when I say I keep it real and 100, I'm probably only 10% of my mom.
Mm.
Like my mom will get you together.
She keep it real even if it hurt.
No filter.
Right, right,
And it's gonna hurt.
right, right.
And if it don't, she can physically hurt you too.
Wow.
My mom was just that type of person. Everybody in the neighborhood knew that though.
Knew your mom.
They knew my mom. And I was like, oh, my mom is so mean, strict or whatever, but I'm so glad because it kept me out of trouble.
Exactly.
It kept me out of prison. It kept me out of these other things. My story could be a lot different
Right,
if
right.
my mom wasn't doing what she did as a single parent. But back to instilling stuff in me, I don't think parents understand the subliminal messages that they impart in their kids without saying a word.
Oh no,
Just
yeah.
the environment that you have them in.
Right, right. When the Bible state of scriptures say that the sins of your father will travel to the third and fourth generation
Wow.
of iniquities of your father, right? What it's really saying is that if your dad didn't instill good principles in you, you're not going to be able to instill good principles in your son.
Absolutely.
And your son's not going to be able to do the same thing. Somebody have to break that curse.
That generational curse. And I'm glad you said that, because that's what we are suffering from now in all communities, but especially the black community.
Without
We are
question.
suffering from that.
Yes.
And I think that we need to go back to some of the old ways that we had. Like, we don't have a village. When they say it takes a village to raise a child, we don't have a village.
That's amazing.
You
said
better
that.
not say anything to any of these kids. I have been driving down the street, but see, they don't know I'm a little crazy because I am my mother's child, right? So they playing basketball, which is illegal. You shouldn't even have a rim set up in the middle of the street. But you see me coming down 15 houses. You know,
Right,
I'm at the
right.
corner, and you still refuse to move out of the way. I have seen kids just walk down the middle of the street and turn like they in a car and stare me down like they don't have to move out of the street.
Well, the respect level in this generation, because your mother taught you respect, your dad taught you respect, but at the same token, when dad is gone and mama is 17 and she got two kids that's 2 and one that's 4, she's not really teaching respect because mom is a kid herself.
That's right.
So that's the generation that we're in right now. And the father is gone because there's a conspiracy, and we know that,
Yeah, we know
against the fathers
It started long ago.
of our color.
Absolutely. You remember the movie Claudine, where people laughed like the father had to be out at home and they hide in the iron and stuff? That was entertainment to some. To me, it was very disheartening and depressing and sad. It was by design to move the father out of the home. Like, you couldn't get any benefits during the depression or whatever if the father was in the home.
Right, right.
But also, I think now that we moved a little bit past that, and this is a whole show altogether, but I feel like segregation, when they desegregated us, we became segregated.
That's powerful. Yeah.
So when they desegregated us across America, the black community became segregated. We didn't have to rely on each other as much. You know, those of us that made it out like, woo, glad I'm out of there. I'm not going back, you know, or whatever. And then we don't work together closely anymore. We don't own our own businesses. Remember during segregation, it was buy black, own black, be black,
Right,
in the
right.
black community,
Exactly.
everything. And then what happened to that?
They
It dissipated.
they had to separate that. They had to destroy that. Like they destroyed the Black Wall Street.
Yes.
So they cannot allow us to spend the black dollar in the black community.
Mm-hmm.
Because this thing is about money.
Mm-hmm.
This whole system is about money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like if two people selling drugs on the corner and you come in and try to sell drugs, you messing with my money.
Yes.
And once we start messing with their money, somebody gonna get destroyed because it's a money game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Let's take it back to a little bit talking about the street. So you said your dad was a flat-foot hustler. Now, the first thing I thought about, he ain't had no arches. 'Cause
That's funny.
I never heard of a flat-foot hustler
Really?
before. No.
Yeah, that's an old school term, but I
No,
thought,
and I am from Inkster. Been there since 1 year old, and been
Oh,
a lot
wow.
in Detroit family on the east side. Never heard of a flat-foot hustler.
you native Inkster.
So, oh yeah. So
Okay,
thank
that's
you
cool.
for making me wise to that. So let's go back to how that particular form of hustling became problematic for you. We're going to go into a short break, but again, I am Black Coffee. My legal name is Valerie Bonner, and I have in the studio with me Pastor Michael Robinson, and we're going to get to his book called My Father's Blood, but we got to take it slow. So we're going to go step by step and hear his story, and then we're going to close the show with what he feels the role of men in the black community and the role of the church in the black community. What does that look like? We will be back after the break.
I can't stop thinking of you, crazy for you. can't stop thinking of love. Ooh, your love. I can't stop thinking of you. Giving me a love so strong, I want it to last forever. Crazy for you, things that you do. I can't stop thinking of you. Crazy for you, things that you do. Crazy for you. I can't stop thinking of you. Crazy for you, things that you do. I can't stop thinking of you. Crazy for you, things that you do. I can't stop thinking of you.
And we're back. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Coffee No Sugar No Cream show, Straight Talk with Valerie, and I'm keeping it black and strong with Pastor Michael Robinson tonight, and we're talking about segments of his book and his life. And we talked a little bit earlier about the role that the parents play in our lives, the environment that they have us in, what we absorb from that, whether they intend for us to learn it or not. We pick up a lot from our
Exactly.
parents. And I had never heard of the term a flat-foot hustler
That's
until
funny.
he brought it up. And so now I want to have Michael talk a little bit more about trying to gain recognition and approval in the wrong places. Because to me, confidence is the best thing you can put on. Not your glasses, not your clothes, or whatever. Confidence is the best thing you can put on and wear.
Exactly. And it's amazing that you said that because I had very low self-esteem. My self-esteem was shot. And the reason being is my father, and no exaggeration, he was like the best dad in our neighborhood, in the whole zip code. Because my father could play every sport.
Wow.
And he was good. He could ride a bicycle backwards, He was the sharpest. He was wearing alligator shoes. And I'm talking about in the 70s. My father was like this dapper Dan. We always had new cars. He dressed us real nice. And he's cool. He had game and all this, right? So
That's where you get that swag you got. I
no,
see it.
no. So it's amazing. It's amazing you say that because I had asthma from when I was 9 months old till severe asthma till I was like 10. So I couldn't go play sports like the other kids because if I
You couldn't run.
from your house next door, I would have an asthma attack,
Oh,
a severe
my.
asthma attack, because I would go to the hospital at least once a week
Wow.
for 10 years. You follow what I'm saying? Because I'm a kid. So y'all outside playing snowballs and throwing them at each other. I'm looking at going from the backyard window to the front yard window, like, ooh, because I can't play with you all because, I had no discipline.
Yes.
I'm going to try to run.
And how do you tell a kid, like, you can't run, sit down, or whatever, and for them to really process and understand to the detriment,
Exactly.
it just doesn't happen. So I get that.
So I say that to say, my brother, I have a brother that's younger than me. He played basketball. He played overseas. He played at University of Southern California on a full ride scholarship. My older brother was playing Little League 12 and under, and he was 7. That was how good my father, but I was the son that was looked over because I was the sickly child. So I say that to say I'm the middle son as well. So I experience rejection.
So you got it from both ends. Yeah.
Yeah, because my father even called me a copycat at times because my father showed us how to dress, showed us how to tie ties. We 7 knew how to tie bow ties, But at the same token, if I would pick some Chuck Taylor shoes and they was black shoes, well, he would tell me those crazy. But if my brother picked some white ones, he'd say, yeah, I like those because he was celebrated. So I start
wow.
copying off of my older brother only because that's how I would get the same thing he could get. Because if I had my own mind, then I was a copycat. You follow what I'm saying?
I don't only follow it, that's part of my life story too, but this show is about you. But
You
man,
feel me? So
I
rejection-
understand what you're saying.
Rejection, it makes you go through life trying to figure out what did I do wrong. You know, so now my self-esteem is shot. Rejection also make you look for love
In all the wrong
in
places.
all the wrong places because you want acceptance.
Yes,
You follow me?
I do.
So my mother and father, they separated for a moment. And the sad part about that is that my father was able to manipulate us, the two older sons, to go with him. Because my mom, she got to the point where I'm going to take you to the bank. You know, I'm getting alimony. You're going to pay child support. I'm getting the house, everything. You're not going to have anything. So my father kept trying. This went on for 2 years.
Became a chess game. Like, okay, well, you're not gonna break the bank with me, so I'm
I'm
yeah.
gonna try to
I'm gonna.
manipulate the two sons. The younger one stayed with my mom, but we kind of had division with our mom now because my father was telling us that she trying to destroy his life.
Which is not good. And I have conversations with a lot of mothers. It's like, I don't care how bad the father is. You should never have that discussion with your kids. Because he might be a bad husband. And he might be a bad boyfriend and end up being a good dad. And besides,
Exactly.
how bad could he really be? He was good one night, y'all got this baby.
That's real.
So he wasn't bad every night.
right.
One of them nights he was good. And if you didn't conceive on the first time, he was good a whole lot of nights. You picked this person. He didn't just become deadbeat or whatever he was. He was that when you was sleeping with him.
So we were staying on the east side with my uncle off Mack and Shane on Leland and St. Aug, and over a store that they had that closed down. And my father was supposed to be staying downstairs with his brother, and we were staying upstairs with his other brother. This was the
It's like a
apartment.
duplex kind of
Well,
thing.
down here
Oh,
was just
okay.
a made studio apartment. But technically speaking, I'm old enough to realize that my father had us thinking he was staying downstairs, but he was staying somewhere else, being the bachelor of the year.
Oh, okay, yeah, getting this hustle on.
You know, so nevertheless, make a long story short, to get back where we're going, my father met someone. He was working at Chrysler, but he was also hustling. But he met somebody that introduced him to Jesus.
Wow.
So
When you say somebody, like a woman, like a mate, just somebody,
no, it
just
was
somebody.
A guy. It was
Okay.
a guy, you know, that worked with him.
Oh,
And
wow.
he started telling him about Jesus and started telling him how he could get his family back together. So my father definitely, he went around playing, knowing in his mind it's cheaper to keep her. So I want to get my family together. And so my mom moved to Ohio. But what my dad did is he had the guy's wife one time to catch my mom, just so happened coincidentally at her mother's house here in Detroit, and she ministered to my mother. My mother was all in.
Oh, wow.
So from there,
They got back
I
together.
got back together.
Did you hear that? There is hope.
Right.
That is awesome. Because I know, I prayed a lot. My father, I guess he's been deceased a couple of weeks now. But
Wow.
I remember when
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. But he raised me to be this solid woman. He was my neutralizer. Because I told you how my mom was, but my dad was very mild-mannered and meek. And actually, he had been my dad since the age of 1.5. Right. I didn't know he wasn't my father until his mother decided she didn't like my mother, and so she would hurt me to try to hurt my mom. And that's when I found out who I really was at 9.
Right.
Right. But I didn't think it was a God for real. Between praying that I ain't get my butt whooped and praying that my daddy came back, didn't none of those work. So it was like, God not real. I'm still getting hit and my dad's still gone. So there's no real God for real. But I am so glad to hear that worked. That is a powerful testimony.
That's a powerful
to
testimony.
say that because when you said someone introduced your dad to God, I'm thinking it's like a woman.
Right,
And, you know,
right,
we
right,
can
right.
have power over men in relationships, and men have power over women. So when you said that, I thought it was going to be this woman met him, got him into the church, and that became like your stepmom. So that totally was a loop for me when you said no, that he got back with your mom and brought y'all family back together.
And you know, my dad, his whole life changed. He stopped hustling. He just working now 9 to 5. We going to church faithfully every Sunday. And my father totally was a different man for about 6 months.
Wow. And then after 6 months, he did. Can we use the word relapse?
No, he never relapsed as far as going back to the
To
streets.
to the streets.
But it
Okay.
seemed like he wanted to be there, but he knew he had to stay here to keep the family together.
Okay.
You follow me? So
Uh-huh.
the same man that God used to get the family together, the enemy started using to tear the family apart. And it's sad to say, but he became very judgmental. And it was nothing no one can do to please him. And especially me, I caught all the weight. And I believe it was because they had instilled in me that I was a slow learner. But I wasn't a slow learner. It was that asthma had handicapped me for so long, you know, because I started playing basketball and football and baseball and stuff when I was like on teams when I got to be like 13. So I had to move from sitting on the bench to being able, now we can start him when he 15. You know what I'm saying? But they was already like stars, my brothers. So I believe, I can't connect the dots all the way. I believe that's why I got somewhat some mistreatment. But I want to say this too. Val, can I call you Val?
Yes, you can, because I keep forgetting to call you pastor.
That's all right, you call me Val. Val, I was 17. I graduated from high school. I graduated a year early by mistake. I wasn't because I did nothing. They made a mistake and made me a senior when they should have made me a junior.
Oh, wow.
And my mother was kicking me under the table because I wanted to stay a junior because I was playing ball and I wanted to play the next year. But she was like, I need you to graduate. My mother was an educator, you know, like yourself. She graduated from high school at 15 and her birthday in April. So she just turned 15 and she graduated from Eastern Michigan at 18.
Oh,
And she
wow.
was teaching high school, a Spanish teacher at 18 years old. So my father
Highly intellectual.
helped her change her career. But nevertheless, let me move.
No. It's okay. Take your time.
Okay, so I'm working at McDonald's. I was 17, just graduated, and I was going to Wayne County Community College. I was on a roll, I thought. Dad put me out.
Whoa.
Now I'm staying in a middle class home with ease, and I could eat 2 or 3 meals a day. I end up staying in a hit house. A hit house, and I'm staying here for shelter. A hit house is, I'm sure you heard that, a hit house is where junkies will go in the house, buy drugs,
And get high.
and they
Yeah. Shoot up
Shoot
and then
up.
leave.
I would get paid $2 to shoot them up because if they got so many tracks in their arms, I have to shoot them in their back,
Oh, my goodness.
backside,
Wow.
and their necks, and you know what I'm saying. 17. I'm staying here for shelter. Throughout the course of time, I began to learn the drug game, but I learned that just because of my conditions. So I had to know, I want to figure out how to make some money. But that's how I got in the street.
Wow.
You follow me?
Wow. So at 17, you were put out.
Put out.
So
I had to
for
find my
shelter,
way.
you went to a
Well,
hit
I stayed
house.
at my grandmother's house for a moment, but my grandmother ended up dying. So it just left me.
So you had to do it. You
Find
fend for
my way.
yourself.
Exactly.
So you're saying you stayed in the hit house for shelter. So you shooting people up
Yes, yes.
for $2. So about how much was you getting a day then?
Nothing. I wasn't making no money. About
Not
$35.
really. 35. But
You
that's
know.
still significant when we're talking about the time that we're talking about.
But I don't have nothing. I gotta. I'm taking showers and baths like every 3 days because the conditions and stuff. I really don't want to shower in these people's joint.
I know you don't.
So every now and then I catch a cab over one of my loved ones' house. I'm looking now. I just told you earlier that we could dress nice, but now I'm looking like a clown, and I'm ashamed of myself
Yes.
now, and I'm embarrassed. You follow me? And bitter with my father. You follow me? And that's the importance of a dad. The Bible said that for the enemy to destroy a strong man's house, he must first tie the strong man. Our community have been attacked by the enemy tying up the strong man.
Absolutely.
We can go to the liquor store, it's going to be 5 or 6 guys sitting on milk crates and stuff. Because the strong man, no one is helping minister to the strong man. You follow me? So I started making money. When I was 20, my brother ended up getting out in the drug game. He 2 years older than me, right? When I was 20, and I'm getting real money now, right? When I was 20, he was 22. He gets shot 7 times in the face, loses his life. My older brother.
What?
5 years later, it was a hit out on me. I get shot 5 times, once in the head, once in the chest, twice in the arm, once in the foot. My mom was with me.
Man.
The next year, I get indicted by the feds. So I go spend 6 years in penitentiary. I went to 6 different prisons because I couldn't get along with the system. I stayed in the hole over a year, but not on one occasion, on different occasions, going in, back and forth. I spent one time 145 days in the hole.
Wow.
Got out. I met a connect because I did Fed time. I met a connect over in South America. You saw the movie Scarface? This connect was like that guy that Frank was dealing with overseas, that he sent Tony Montana overseas, Sosa. The man that sent the hit out on Tony Montana. I met a connect like that when I was incarcerated. So I'm thinking that I'm about to get out and build skyrises and all that. I'm so blind when I was incarcerated. I think God sent me to prison to meet this guy. Yes, that's how I'm thinking. I got out. The feds watching a friend of mine. I'm hanging with, they taking pictures. I don't even know. They raided my mom's house. And I was handcuffed in my mom's living room. And I said, Lord, if you get me out this time, because I was out for 6 months, I said, I promise you I'll serve you. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And that was my turning point.
Wow. That is so powerful. I mean, you see how I'm looking at you. I'm like, whoa, getting blown away. Thank you, my
So
brother, for
that's
your transparency. That's what the
Why
book is
the
about.
Book is about my
Yes.
father's.
So the
blood.
book is not about his father,
My biological
his
father.
biological father. It's about My Father's Blood by Michael C. Robinson, Pastor Michael C. Robinson. And the book can be purchased on Amazon, I know, and where else?
Amazon, but it's on my website at www.mikecrobinson.com.
Okay.
www.mikecrobinson.com. I'm having a book signing as well at the Ypsilanti Library on Whitaker Road, May the 25th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
And say that again for our listeners. So the book can be purchased on Amazon and also on his website, but he's having a book signing at the Ypsilanti Library May the 25th, you said? And
May the
that's a
25th.
Saturday. And what time?
From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that's cool. You can come to his book signing, actually meet him in person, and get to feel the energy I'm feeling from this brother right here. So, you know, it's time for a break because he just dropped a couple of bombs on me. So, like the Gap Band, you dropped a bomb on me. So, we're going to take a break and we will be right back. And we're back. Thank you for listening to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, Straight Talk with Valerie, 88.1 FM, Detroit and Highland Park. We are here with Pastor Michael Robinson. And man, this show is not long enough to have you here, man. I wish I wasn't already booked all the way into July because
Wow,
we
really?
need.
That's good,
Oh
though.
yeah, God is blessing the show, and
that's
I'm
good.
excited. You know, getting guests on the show is not a problem I've been having, but man, we certainly need to do 2 segments with you. I'm gonna have to start doing an after show in the boardroom next door.
Let me come back.
Oh, definitely, you're coming back. But we talked earlier about Mike's life, what he has gone through. The bombshell he dropped on me after the second segment was being in prison saved his life. We're going to pick it up from there. So, Mike, tell us about that. When did you get that epiphany?
The reason prison saved my life is because, you know, a lot of people go back and forth from prison to prison because they feel like, oh, it's nothing, I can handle it. You follow what I'm saying? Well, that wasn't the case. The case was when I got out, 6 months later, I almost went right back.
Wow.
So I made up in my mind, I can't put my mother through this no more. And what saved my life was the fear of allowing her to go through this again.
Okay.
So that's what, and it's amazing.
So a mother's love.
Yeah, and guess what my mother told me when they raided her house? What she said was that, and I guess she may have been reversing psychology with me, but she told me these words. She said, Michael, I didn't like going to all those penitentiaries seeing you, and they checking me and degrading me just so I can spend time with my son. She said, if you're going to come out here and do this again, she said, I'll do it again, but I don't want to because I
Okay.
love you. And I say, no, I'm not doing this.
And she was honest.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking she about to tell me, I'm not doing this no more. You feel me? But by her telling me she'll do it again, and I'm like, I can't put her through this no more.
But I have mad respect for your mother because I hear some parents saying, you keep on doing this, I'm going to put you out. Or you keep doing this, I'm going to do that. But they don't really do it. And so that's just giving that child a gauge of how much BS you're going to take. Right?
I feel you.
So I'm glad she was transparent with you, but
Right.
you did not want to put your mother through that anymore. Do you hear that, listeners? You know, that people really, you know, he had enough respect for his mother that he didn't want to hurt her anymore. He realized how much he had hurt her and what he was causing. He didn't want to do that anymore. And so that is powerful, the respect and love he had for his mother, someone that brought him into the world. So that's awesome and amazing. Let's go into now. So being in prison changed your life.
Right.
You got to the book.
Because I didn't want to go back.
You didn't want to go back. We have the book, My Father's Blood. But let's talk about now. Not only did you not want to go back to prison because of the love you had for your mother, but let's talk about you a pastor.
Exactly.
How did you get there?
Now, when I was like 15 years old, when we started going to church, you know, I was 100% sincere, but I knew God called me to the ministry. But I knew that I was running because of dealing with rejection, bitterness, unforgiveness, shame, and all this kind of stuff. I ain't had Jesus on my mind. I'm trying to recover from some pain and some hurt that I went through. You follow me? And when I was in my mother's living room handcuffed, and I just threw in both of my hands, Lord, if you get me out of this, I serve you. I'll do anything you want me to do. God spoke to me and said, either the devil gonna kill you, or either you gonna die for Jesus. But you going to die. So I just said, I'm gonna die and submit myself to the Lord. And from there, I started preaching the gospel. Now what happened was, a lot of church people used to use me. I would go to different churches and they would embarrass me. They would pull me up, come on, Robinson and come tell your testimony. Tell them how you sold drugs and you went to prison. But I don't want to tell everybody. I
You
don't
know,
want to
let
be
the Spirit lead what I'm going to say.
the pastoral thug. You follow what I'm saying? So it forced me to go to Bible college, right? So I went to Bible college for 4 years. I said, I've got to learn this Bible because you ain't going to keep pulling me in these settings.
Being manipulative, just doing whatever.
You know, I like telling my story to younger people that's on the wrong side of the street so I can talk to them for 20 minutes, tell them something I've been through for 20 years so you don't never have to face
Absolutely.
what I've been through.
Let me help you.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Right. And I think as God has really blessed me as a pastor because, now I want to say this, when I was young, I wanted to box, right? And my father shot that down. I could draw real good. I had an art scholarship at an art institute in Pennsylvania. My dad discouraged me from doing that. You feel me? And I asked him about me being in the church as a teenager, could I play the organ then? Now, boxing, you use your hand. Drawing, you use your hand. And playing the organ,
You use your hands.
you use your hand. And I found out my purpose in life because I used my hands. I laid these hands on a lady that was legally blind, and God opened her eyes. I laid these hands that you see right here on many people that had been diagnosed with various kinds of cancers, and God had totally healed them. I laid these hands on a man who came to my church 3 months after he was given 6 months to live. So now it's only 3 months that he had full-blown AIDS. God totally healed him.
Well, you know what I hear you saying, and first of all, I can't thank you enough for your transparency, sharing your story, and your raw emotion. You know, I feel that coming from you. You know, how you felt about your mother. That's real.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right,
I
right.
could feel that. But the other part, that was all a part of the plan.
Exactly, but we so blind, naive.
So, you know, I've been down certain roads, you know, through molestation and
Oh,
a bunch
wow.
of other things. And I used to say, Lord, why me? And he said, why not you?
Wow, that's powerful.
Why not you?
Exactly.
And when I started looking at it that way, my prayers changed. I can pray for you for 5 minutes, but all I pray for myself is, Lord, correct me, direct me, and protect me.
That's good.
That's it.
That's good.
Because that's all I need
Right.
right there. Right? I used to pray with expectancy, but the wrong kind.
Wow.
Lord, I want this car, I want this job, I want this and this. Now I pray with expectancy, not what he's going to do, but that he's going to do something. And
Exactly.
whatever that is what he feels is best for me.
Mhm.
Right? And so I feel everything you say. I appreciate and respect everything that you say. So where's your church? Where are you
My
pastoring?
church is in Ypsilanti, Michigan. It's at 333 South Prospect, Ypsilanti, Michigan. Our service times at Sunday 11:30 a.m. and Wednesday night Bible class at 7 p.m.
Okay, and what's the name of your church?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ypsilanti Community Church.
Okay, so Ypsilanti Community Church.
Yeah.
You know,
And Trisha is making me get in the community, and I appreciate her because she has been a blessing to me to help me get connected to the right people in the community. And I'm just so excited at what God is doing right now. Not to cut you off because they invited me to a meeting, and it was through Trisha and some other people to meet with the chief of police, the chief of the Washtenaw County Sheriff Department, all the elect officials in Ypsilanti, and I'm the only pastor there, and they trying to ask me questions. How could we find ways to bridge the gap with the police and the community?
and I'm glad. You know what? Get out my head. Because I was getting ready to go to another break, and that's what I want to talk about with our last few minutes. But I'm going to bypass that break because we got 5 minutes left. power-packed show, and the time went by really fast.
Yes, went back too fast.
It went by too fast. But let's talk about bridging the gap between the church and community just quickly as we prepare to close. Because to me, the church is in the community, but not enough of community is in the church. And I don't mean like membership wise, like collaborative partnerships, mental health ministries, and things of that nature. I've had a few churches open their doors for free programs that we want to do. The rest of them, we got to kick the door in. But Pastor Duckworth, John Duckworth, Gethsemane, I ran workshops for about 2-3 months straight, training on suicide prevention and stuff like that. And then my pastor, I'm not saying it just because he's my pastor, but Pastor Arthur Willis is a community person. He comes outside of the doors of the church and, runs the Romulus Mayor's Task Force. And, you see him all around the community working. So I say we don't need just the church to be in the community. We need the community in the church. How do you feel? What is the role of the church in the Black community?
Well, I think there's a major problem that the church has set up in the community. I think they have alienated themselves from the people, and they have done things that's totally different from what Jesus did. Jesus tells a parable where he left the 99 and he went to go find the lost sheep. Well, what we do is we want to stay with the 99, and we don't care nothing about the lost people.
Wow. That's
And,
powerful.
One of the major problems, like you told me throughout your earlier portion of your life, you was molested. You follow me? What the problem is, we don't listen to the community, because if I don't listen to you, I will never understand you. I'm going to always preach at you and not preach for you. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
And that's the problem. We don't listen. We want them to listen to us. But I need to find out why this person is in this condition. Because if I don't understand you, I can never help you.
And I agree with you 100%. And I was telling someone earlier, if you can't find happiness within yourself, you're not going to find it in anybody else.
You
If you can't find that healing, within yourself, how can you really help somebody else? We got a lot of healing that we need to go through. And especially the Black male. That book that brother put out, Men Can Cry.
Right.
That's real.
That's real.
Because you got to hold up this, like you're so
Image.
strong and this image, and you can't cry and you can't show your emotional side or whatever. Now, and I used to do the same thing. Get up. You a big boy, don't cry. But now when I have my little great nephew, he's 6 years old. If he hurts himself and he cries, I'll be like, it's okay. I give him that minute. Go ahead and cry.
Exactly.
And get yourself together. Now let's talk about why you crying and what's going on. Let's get you together. Don't shut down their emotions.
That's right.
And then when you do that, you packed it down like gunpowder. You just packing all this emotion. Then when they blow, everybody looking like, oh, they just blew. Okay, well, you've been packing down all of this emotion like a hand grenade all of these years. What did you expect to happen? You ignite that fuse once. This is what we get.
That's right.
And we perpetuated that. We created it on how we raised our men.
Yeah, that's
And
without
first of
question.
all, we're going to have to do another show because we're getting ready to close out. But what I can say, and I've had a conversation with someone about this, a woman can raise a young man, but she can't teach him how to be a man.
Exactly.
She can feed him, and even teach him how to respect a woman. But there are certain things that men get from other men.
Without question.
And there are certain things they get from their fathers or a positive male role model. It's the same with girls.
Because my father could whoop me. He would whoop us with extension cord. He'd knock us out. My father could box, right? And he go watch TV. Now my mama's sitting there because she's the nurturer. She just feel bad. Oh my God, he didn't. You know what I'm saying? But the father is the disciplinary, and you need both in the house as the example
For balance.
Because I want my daughter to look at the mother and say, I want to marry a woman just like her. I need the son to look at the man and say, I want to be a man just like him and marry a woman like my mom. But when the man is gone, it destroys the house. Last but not least, real quick, this is what made me think. If I knew what I know now, back then, I never would have sold drugs. Because they have used drugs as a tool to destroy our community. And they say we're
Absolutely.
going to let 5 or 6 guys ride around who with Benzes and Corvettes and stay in condominiums and have money in their pocket. But I want them to destroy their own people.
You know, and that's interesting because we definitely did not have enough time for this show. But as we prepare to close out, I agree with you on that because, you know, and being a substance abuse
Oh,
prevention consultant certified by the state
wow.
to
Go
do
ahead.
prevention work. Hey, but this is what I have to say about it. Now that the opioid is an epidemic, because it's impacting certain communities, now it's a national epidemic, and we get all of this help and get your free naloxone kit. I'm a trainer on it. You can do a training, and everybody walks away with a free kit to save a life. But where was all of that when crack was in our neighborhood?
Exactly.
Where was
When-
the antidote?
When it hit their neighborhood,
And that's a new show.
that's when the solution comes.
Yes. So as we prepare to close, I want to thank Pastor Michael Robinson for being on the show tonight. His book, My Father's Blood, Michael C. Robinson. You can come to his book signing at the Ypsilanti Library on May 25th from 3 to 6 p.m. Get a copy of the book. He can sign it. You can also get the book on Amazon. Man, this was a wonderful show. And what I want to say is thank you for tuning in to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. I'm not here to spill the tea or make you feel like you've been dazed by a shot of cheap liquor. I just want you to feel things and see things and hear things from my perspective. This is it. Good night and have a great week.